Hello everyone, it's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, BC, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. It's my wedding anniversary month.
Okay.
Don't rush me, don't rush me.
You're rushing us.
It's the month, and so I decided to do a 20% discount for all my products to my customers. So if you shop this month, I started it on the 1st of October, celebrating our 60 years independence. But I now remember that, okay, this month is also your wedding. Okay, just extend it to the end of the month. So if you shop, you get 20% discount on any product.
I have a lot of birthday people this month. My brother, my husband, I have a friend, I have a few people. Today is 7th. Okay. And today is Laide Bakare's birthday! She's an actress, so she's a year older today. And wishing you many, many more happy years. I posted a picture this morning. God bless you. Mwah, we love you. Hi, dear Mariam.
I'm fine, thank you. So recently I learned something about, you know how we always hear manage your stress? I heard something called master your stress. And I thought, that's better. Nice. Because to manage something, I don't know, I hate that word, managing, anything. So, and my daughter has taken that, like, I hate to manage, I don't want to manage, you know. So to master your stress, meaning stresses will come, you know. When you say manage, it's like, oh, why did you get yourself in such a stressful situation? But when you say master your stress, it's like, these things will come, but how do I handle it? And so different ways of handling it. But there was one specific thing also that came to mind, which is there's some stress that is self-inflicted. You see, when you go online or you're that very negative person that gives negative energy, you're always trolling people, it's a double-edged sword. So you're hurting someone, you're hurting yourself. When you give out negative energy, that's all that surrounds you. And that is a cause for stress. So another way to de-stress is to think more positively.
And give more.
Do not be a troll and just be kind.
Yeah.
Be nice.
That struck a chord with me because when I had my car accident back in the US and the doctor, when I was doing my healing process, I kept asking if I need drugs, that the pain was too much, that I couldn't bear it. He now told me, I can give you painkillers, but you see, you need to master the pain. And he used that word with me. Master the pain, get used to it, understand it, and that it will be painful now, but in the long run it's better for you. Because once you start getting addicted to your drugs, trust me, you're going to keep asking for more, bigger, more, stronger painkillers. So master it, understand it. It took many years, but eventually now I'm so used to the pain. Like, the pain is there, but I'm just it's part of me now. So that's a good one, to know how to master that which you're going through. How are you doing, Topsy?
I'm fine. You know, there's someone, Vusi Tambekoa is someone I met at my part in New York, and I've been following him for the past 2 years. He's an entrepreneur from South Africa. And anytime I see him live on Instagram, I just jump on it because he's just a very wise person. And yesterday he was talking about how sometimes as entrepreneurs, we feel like people ask you, so how many offices do you have? How many staff do you, like, what's your staff strength? If you're filling any grants form, they ask you your staff strength. And he said the job of an entrepreneur is not to create jobs, it's to create value. So if your struggle to keep your staff and to keep the jobs is reducing how productive you can be willing to shed the dead weight you're carrying and ensure that you're productive and you're creating value. If you create value, the jobs will spin off, but that shouldn't be. We shouldn't, as entrepreneurs, struggle and bog our heads down with, I need to create jobs, I want to hold on to all the branches, I have 50 staffs, I must not let any of them go, it's a sign of failure. No. Sometimes you shed the dead weight and then you prune yourself to be more productive and then you add value. And that for me was very, very...
Lockdown, COVID has actually engineered how we think about offices and having all those stars and businesses.
And actually run businesses without owning an office and have, like I'm doing.
Before we run, I have to read this love letter. I got a love letter from Mr. Brimo, the former PSO in Lausa. And I just went to go and see my madam there, and he wrote me a love letter. I said, Murayo, you are more beautiful off screen than on screen.
Whoa!
Your is it candid?
Yeah, candid, I think it's
your candid brain beauty, panache, and cultured nature, customized nurture for the sake of humanity.
Yes.
Well done. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it. He was just quiet. He didn't talk to me. He just sat down and was leaving. He just gave me this note.
Just slipped it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Old school level.
Let's go on a break. It's Wednesday. It's going to break. We'll be right back. Okay, we're going to start with The Nation. Osinbajo, squabbles must end in people's interest. APC, PDP in final push for votes. Worries over $2 billion forex demand backlog. Abiodun, that's Governor Abiodun, gives Bibi Niger winner Laycom a house and 5 million naira. SARS won't be scrapped, says police. Inspector General not sincere on ban, says Falano. ADP asks tribunal to nullify Obaseki's victory. Okay, which story are we taking here?
The
major headline. Go ahead, please.
So the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, yesterday has warned that unless the executive and the legislature find a way to work together, we're not going to be solving the problems of Nigeria. He said the most important thing is for the laws are made for the welfare of the people. And so we shouldn't, hold very strongly to separation of powers where this one and all those legalities before we face the issues. We have a problem of poverty. COVID-19 has, a lot of people have lost their jobs. So we should come together. And he gave instances, like even in the West that we are trying to copy, that there's a way they work together, that the separation of powers is not, they are not really separating powers, because if as a Senate president you're not available, there's someone who takes over and can make
I think what I also saw from that article is the fact that he was talking about the dogmatic procedures that we engage in government, parastatals. Just for you, I know that what I want to do is for the children. That's the objective. But because there's so much processing, you have to go to this one, this. The bureaucracy is way overweighs the objective. So he's trying to remind us, like, listen, the people are the interest. All these procedures are way that they're weighing us down. Let's focus on what the people need and let's move past that.
Yeah, so there's one more story at the very bottom. It's a very strange story.
Police charge ex-governor Hakim with impersonating Fashola. How is that?
Yes, so I hope we hear something, after. It says the former governor of Imo State is being charged by the Office of the Inspector General of Police. First, they said he lied that he owned a plot of land and tried to sell it to a Chinyere Amuchienwa and claimed that that land is owned by Raji Fashola. So he has been. So that's the allegations against him. I mean, it's really strange to hear that a former governor will be involved in something like that. So we hope we hear something very soon in response to this.
Like, could it be that bad?
Could it be that bad? Moving on now to The Punch. Nigerian economy unstable, directionless under Buhari, says Economic Society. Akeredolu's Sean's deputy handshake as candidates signed peace accord. Missing child, Ondo pastor. Bags life imprisonment, called lampoons police. Lagos red rail line ready for 2022, says Lamata. Kidnap Kingpin Evans, others open defense October 16th. Buhari presents 2021 budget to National Assembly. Travelers to UAE must have COVID-19 result accommodation, says NIS. Okay, which story are we taking a punch?
Okay, so I took the human interest story. Well, no. This pastor of Sotito Bire Praising Chapel. We remember the story of a one-year-old that got lost in this particular church. So the court has finally sentenced him to life imprisonment alongside 5 others. His name is Samuel Babatunde, and also known as Alpha Babatunde. So they were charged on 2 counts of aiding and abetting, and between him and these 5 other people. The story was a child came, he was in Sunday school, and he got missing. The court also lambasted the police for just their lackadaisical attitude towards the investigation for this child. The court says even the pastor never showed any, agitation, towards what had happened to this child, to try and be involved in finding the child. So for them, based on circumstantial evidence, it showed that he and 5 others were, complicit in the kidnap of this child.
They're issuing a 21-day warning before they embark on a strike. So that's the senior staff members of the Nigerian polytechnics. They had a meeting and they are aggrieved with the federal government for not responding to some of the issues they raised, which is one of them is the non-release of the new minimum wage, payment of their arrears, inconsistencies in the third-party deductions, and no payment of COVID-19 hazard allowance for health workers, and among other issues. So they are saying that they are giving the federal government 21 days. If nothing is done to, answer what they...
Nobody read about the economy.
No, I read about the traveling to UAE and the conditions. So the Nigerian Immigration Service spokesperson, Sunday James, yesterday mentioned that anybody going to the UAE must have a polymerase chain reaction test done 96 hours before their trip. And they must have a test saying they are negative to COVID-19. They must also have health insurance coverage for the period of their stay in the UAE, and they must have their accommodation or hotel address written clearly down, and these are the conditions before they can travel. I know that there's been need for clarity because UAE didn't allow Nigerians coming before, and now that it's been opened up, these are the conditions they're giving.
All right, let's move on very quickly now to the Vanguard. COVID-19 hits states IGR as IMF allays fares. Police cannot end SARS, says spokesperson Frank Mba. 6 killed, 3 injured in fresh Plateau attacks as reps fault DSS role in killings. FG reviewing cybersecurity policy to tackle terrorism. Akeredolu Ajayi Jegede signed peace pact, promise to accept poll results. It will be irresponsible for leaders don't solve Nigeria's problems, says Oshimbajo. And stock market gains 1 trillion naira in 2 days. Okay, I was going to talk about the IGR, I believe. The GDP projection on Nigeria from 5.4% contraction to negative 3.4%. Now, I think I was going to read that because IMF had predicted that our economy will contract. I have the numbers here, but I'll look at it in a minute. But let's move on to another paper because because they always make all these their prophecy of doom.
Negative ones.
Then the negative.
No, based on data.
Yeah, story. Anyway, let's move on to Daily Trust. I'll get the figures for you. Daily Trust, SARS excesses fester. Emir of Zazal suspense persists as El-Rufai meets traditional rulers. Ribado's daughter apologizes for her wedding dress. National Assembly pushes PIB deliberations to 2021. Nigerians facing life-threatening problems daily, says Oshimbajo. I'd have loved to read the Ribado story.
There's a human interest story there.
It's a 13.2.
How a 16-year-old girl was raped in Osogbo.
Oh.
Yes, so the girl narrated how she was raped by her teacher and an actor, a Yoruba Nollywood actor, and she was lured to a certain area. They promised her that they were going to put her in the movies so that she could make money to be able to pay for her WAEC examination. And then she followed them to one area they were supposed to go and shoot, and both of them raped her. So after raping her, they had to give her salt and water and asked her to drink it, and she mustn't report the incident to anybody. They don't want to hear it from anybody. So she took it and she bled for about 15 days. But luckily for her, she took herself to a non-governmental organization and reported to them, and then the case is ongoing as we speak.
Okay. So I wanted to take the PIB bill, the petroleum industry bill. We've been waiting that the National Assembly would deliberate on the bill that has been submitted, but now they've pushed the deliberation to 2021. At a retreat for 2 days carried out by the executives and the legislature at the presidential villa, the minister, Timothy Silva, mentioned that this decision was carried out. The legislators are saying that they need the rest of this year to deliberate on the appropriation bill for 2021. And that when that is done, they will be considering the petroleum industry bill in 2020 in the first quarter of next year. I believe that for us to move the economy forward, we need to start working on this thing. And there are committees that handle the bill, and they shouldn't stop work because they are facing appropriation bill. I'm one of those that are not pleased with this postponement.
The 13.2 billion healthcare fund. So the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, its the executive director, Dr. Faisal Dr. Faisal Shuaib told journalists in Abuja that first, the 13.2 billion had been received and also given to the 36 states. And of the 36 states who have received their funds, only Abia, Anambra, Delta, Ebonyi, Niger, Osun, and FCT had commenced disbursement. And he says, well, these funds is really to help our primary health care centers function optimally. He says one of their focus and targets is a 10,000 fully equipped and functional primary health care facilities in Nigeria. And also this fund is supposed to improve the primary health care facility functionality. They said we're able to train 220,000 officers at national and community levels towards the preparedness for COVID-19. You know, they have just so many things that they have lined up for primary health centers to function better.
Right. Finally, I was going to say that COVID-19, with the story I was going to take, yes, the states had a 26.5% reduction in their IGR, and the IMF chief, Georgieva, was saying that they have to go back on their predictions initially concerning the global marketing projections, and they said that they reversed Nigeria's GDP projection of negative 5.4% contraction to 3.4% in 2020. And
So it's not as bad as
it's not as bad as they thought it was going to turn out, pretty much. Okay, we have to run right now. And that's, I wanted to take a story in Daily Sun. Leave my health alone, Okumbo tells critics.
Okay.
I don't know why on social media I say that the man is in coma. The man said, listen, because of my position on the Edo elections, there's a lot of negative social media posts about him, that he was sick and he traveled abroad and he's getting treatment there, that he's not in coma, he's
fine.
Yes, he's having issues, but he's being taken care of. And nobody should be spreading rumor. I don't know why people just don't have joy in their life. I mean,
De-stress people.
distress people, please.
And
the man is not in coma.
Governor of Borno State is begging military officials that they should not go to Ondo State for election and abandon Boko Haram and Borno State, that they should please ensure that they are also securing the front lines from Boko Haram, as opposed to just focusing on elections.
But they reminded them that the army was present in Edo elections, and we are all here celebrating our Edo elections. So
Is that what the army is supposed to be doing for us?
Yes.
Please, they should focus on the main
okay, well, let's go on a break. When we come back, we promised our viewers that we're going to join the conversation on #EndSARS. Let's get to the bottom of this and see how we can share our views and also hear from the authorities. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for staying with us. So over the weekend, Nigerians took to Twitter to air their grievances and trend the #EndSARS campaign. Some notable celebrities also called on the government to end police brutality as more evidences of illegal activities by the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, is getting rampant. Now, we have a lineup of guests today. First, we should be having the human rights activist, Segun Awosonya, a.k.a. Segun Links, with us. Sir, are you there? Okay. So we're trying to line up all our guests for the show. But before we bring in our guests, let me hear your views on this, because obviously we got so many messages. People were saying that the ladies of Your View must talk about this, because obviously we have the viewers, we have the numbers, and we know that our leaders are watching and they pay attention. And Nigerians call the show and they speak with all sincerity of heart when they went on this show. So I'd like to start with the ladies. What are some of the stories that you heard or experienced? And I'd like to hear your thoughts. But first, you can call us on 070-806-6804. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please #YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. It's your show today. Call us, send us messages. We want to hear your stories. And that's what we want to share, so that leaders know that it's not just some social media hashtag or people just, what they call them, mischief makers. They call them, politicians, when they don't want to confront an issue, they say the mischief makers, cooking up the stories. You call in, tell us what your experience is, and they will hear you. Let's start with you, BC. What have you experienced or what have you heard?
So there was a particular day we're coming from church. I think it was around 10:30, and then SARS stopped. I and my husband were just alone in the car, and by the time they stopped us, we didn't see them on time, so he didn't have the time to, there's a way you want to stop, so he starts slowing down on your brakes and everything. He was on top speed when they just came and they used the gun. They pointed a gun at us, and then he had to screech to stop. And they come down. Come down, where are you going to? Why are you running like that? He said, oh God, is that how you stop somebody? I didn't see you. He said, why are you dressed like this? Who are you? You're what? Where's your ID card? Where's this? Where's that? Okay, let's have your phones. And my husband was like, if you want to kill me today, you kill me. You can't have my phones. What do you want? Search the boot. We're just coming from church. I said, no, don't tell us that. Oh, you want to show you're proud? And somehow we spent about 30 minutes before finally they decided to let us go. And the gun, my heart flew. I was saying, blood of Jesus, because I know anything happens, they will say accidental discharge. And we've had people that have had so many stories. They've stopped my brother-in-law one time. They said, why are you wearing gold? You must be a Yahoo boy. Enter the car. And he refused. Thank God it was very close to the house. He raised an alarm and people came in and, no, we know him. And that was, so Nigerians have a lot of horrible stories about SARS. And I feel that department has become worse, like a cure that is worse than the disease itself, and we need to look into it.
Yeah, I have two sides of the story. So some years ago, when my husband was abducted, federal SARS did a very good job of finding the suspects, and they had left the country and gone into another country, and they found them, months and months after that incident happened. So I know that I know that they can do their job and do it well. Right. But I also have personal stories of younger ones who were stopped, who had gone out for the night on their way home. They were stopped, their ATM cards collected from them, monies over hundreds of thousands of naira taken out of their account. So I see this story. So that on the one hand, there's a possibility that federal SARS does its job and that there's a group of them who do their job and do their job well. But what percentage of FSARS is that? Is it the 1% to 99% of the crooked, rogue FSARS, So, and we need to talk about those people who dress up in mufti and point guns at people.
Thank you, Mariam, for that, because the truth is that when the social media begins to rave about an issue, we somewhat demonize without looking at the fact that they were created for a purpose. And that purpose, as it left, was supposed to be an anti-robbery squad. Their job really is to pursue armed robbers and ensure the investigation is carried out and the culprits are brought to book. Now, these are things for the society also. So they have a purpose that they were created for. Yeah. Now, many have said they veered off. But when we are demanding a ban, are we looking at if we ban this group of this unit?
Who takes over
the issue of anti-robbery? Because the police officers, they have their own job description and their own modus operandi in the various regions. So if we have this blanket NSTARS or NSARS. How are we ensuring that even though we are saying end their activities, do we truly mean that it should end the SARS?
I think that we can be rational. Both of you can be rational because you've not had the negative sides directed directly at you personally. I just told you mine. Yeah, your husband had a positive experience. Your siblings had a negative experience. What I've learned is that, and what I've read, and a personal experience that was sent to me, is not even about the robbery. If when we define the job of SARS as anti-robbery, most of the issues we have is that they are profiling people they are profiling people and putting them under the category of fraudsters. So if you look the part of a fraudster, if you have two phones with you, you have a sack jeans, you have dreadlocks, you have a gold jewelry, you are suspected and then detained. And more often than not, there are cases where there is bribery and extortion of money. And these are the core issues. And it's happening so many times back to back. And there are videos, thankfully, that was shown even while Obiajulu was talking. And the videos are there online of cases where the SARS would shoot an unarmed person. Yes. The person is not armed. And then you shoot the person and the person dies. It's not once, it's not twice. If it happens once or twice or three times, you'll be like, oh, it's the bad eggs. But when over the years, the bad eggs are taking over the entire lot, we no longer see the advantage. I won't sit here and say it's wrong for them to call for end of SARS, because when they've been calling for SARS reform for over 3 years now, they've been lip service to the reforms. They've said, oh, we are going to caution them. They'll be off the road, but they're back on the road. Okay, we're going to penalize them, but they're killing people and it's still ongoing. So when you play lip service, people would force you into action. So the young people are crying out now because every time they carry a laptop, they are seen as a suspect. Right. If they have 2 phones, you go through their phones. Like, what effrontery? Okay, and if you don't allow, they take you. So these are things we need to deal with. Let me take this call from Timitokwe. Timitokwe Alagbado, are you there? Thanks for calling.
I'm there. Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Tokwe, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
DC and Miriam.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma.
I will want you to support this NSAS. The reason why I'm saying this is that 2018, when my second daughter finished serving, so she said she wants to celebrate it for us. So she has to call her younger brother and one of his friends that they should go to Ikeja, to the mosque at Ikeja. So on getting to Abule Egba, they called Uber, and the Uber took them. When they got to Abatio, the staff asked to stop them, that they should come down, that my daughter and my son are Yahoo guys. So they said they are students. My second daughter removed her ID card that she just serving, that she finished from Oduduwa University. And my son said, I'm in Caleb University, 300 level. They said, no, they are Yahoo, they are this and this. And they have to remove them from the Uber and put it in their own van. They're taking them up and down. My brother called me that, Mommy, this is what the situation is. I started running up and down from one station to another. I called my late brother. He's also a policeman. That I should please, so this is what is happening. He sent the ID number to me, and the current Deputy Inspector General of Police, which is our cousin, Leye, that I should try and get in touch, that it will be monitoring them. Right. So I started running from one police station to the other. I did not see my children. Where are you guys? They said they cannot talk. Oh, they cannot talk. They cannot. What is this? What is happening? And I was down with her. So I started, yes, I have to come home. I started praying. I called my brother that I could not find my children. No. I don't know where these people are taking them. Right. Around that 7 o'clock in the PM, my children came back. Where are you? I've been looking for you. What happened? They said that, and when I was calling them, that they heard that my brother had sent the ID number to me, that they carry their gun, that they will kill my son's friend and give the gun to my son that is the one that killed his friend. Jeez. And they beat my daughter to stupor. They beat all out of my daughter. And they withdraw all my son's money in his account. The money that is meant for him to reach in Caleb University. They collected all the money. Okay. When they took them to Oba to go and withdraw the money, my son said they have to remove their uniform and put on the multi before they withdraw the money.
Right. Okay. So
and since then they'll be.
Right. So these are the stories that we obviously are confronted, and there are different stories. Yes. So this is a very, very pathetic situation. Yeah. If you also look on the other side of the foreigners, for example, that are being swindled by these alleged Yahoo boys, because when we say Yahoo, just use it as a figure of speech. But the truth is that I watched a documentary of a woman whose entire life savings were wiped out by this Yahoo from that was traced to Nigeria. So there are both sides of the divide, and that's why we will continue to hang in there. There are both sides of the divide. That's why we must continue to understand what exactly is the objective.
Mara, please don't do this.
If we have, no, we have to.
But arresting people on the road is not a way to deal with fraudsters.
It's important you have to get both sides of the story. Nobody is saying that we should have people arresting young people or profiling children on the road. Absolutely. Nobody on this table will say that. What I'm saying is that the reason they were created is for a reason.
Yes.
Yahoo is there. You're saying Yahoo, but there are people's lives that have been affected and destroyed. Just like this woman who have been swimming by this same by. So if these guys were created, part of their job is to find these boys. The point is that how do we reform? We don't trust reform anymore because they told us they reform and they don't reform. So my question is, are we demanding total complete end end, or are we saying we are demanding and insist on a proper reform of this because we know also there is value to what they were created for? Okay. That's the question.
All right, do we have time to answer?
Yes, go ahead, please.
All right, so for me, ending SARS is not realistic because you need to consider the number of people who are in that department. And if you close down that department, where do they go to? So we need to be very careful so that we don't end up, the way they are already acting, we don't end up having more armed robbers on the road. Yeah. That's it. So we can't be agitating for ending SARS. We should be insisting on a proper reform. Now, I have a problem with the fact that they still wear mufti because one of the reasons that they wear mufti was to give an element of surprise. So they work like undercover, but we have not seen that so far. So that should be scrapped. Now they should be put in offices like the proper policemen. They have their department, wear their uniform. If they need to go for undercover, they can do that specifically and come back to their uniform. But we're not going to have SARS anymore on the streets without uniform, T-shirts, and carrying guns in the name of SARS. Yeah. Because we need to be able to separate them from even the real armed robbers. We can't tell the difference anymore. So a proper reform is what we should be. And the heads of the, that's the police, should be responsible for them. If anything goes wrong under the people working for you, we are coming after you.
Okay,
give us your word.
Let me go on a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have the former commissioner for police, I think Lagos State, Fatai Owusheni, will join us in a moment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, security expert and the former Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Fatai Owusheni, is joining us. Good morning, sir. Are you there? Hello,
good morning. I'm here.
Good to have you on the show. Right, let's go right into this issue of #EndSARS that is trending over the entire country. Now, many people are saying that we should get them off the streets completely, or in fact, totally ban them. In your position, is that the right approach to do at this time? Sir, are you there?
Not at your discussion prior to. Yes, can you hear me?
Now
yes,
we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yes. I overheard your discussion before I joined the program. In the first instance, that unit was created for a purpose. And what was the purpose then? It is supposed to serve as a unit to be used for high-risk operations. It's like a SWAT team. Okay. It's like a specialized unit. And of course, it started at the federal level. It's supposed to be the anti-robbery section of the Force Criminal Investigation Department, and that is why they call it Federal SARS. It's supposed to be a referral unit, in which case, if the state commands are investigating very serious cases like robbery, high-profile kidnapping that cut across different states, they're supposed to refer such cases to the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad, which is expected to be equipped for such operation. So at a point in time, the unit gets proliferated into each of the police state commands, having a special anti-robbery squad. And one thing we must know is that it is just a minority part of this unit that have been involved in extra legal means to approach to their work. The Special Anti-Robbery Squad as a unit have actually performed creditably well. So all what we're having now is just a matter of the police leadership looking inward to strengthen the internal oversight mechanism of the Nigeria police and make sure that all the units of the police work within the ambit of the extant rules and regulations that set them up. Once you have this, all these vices will stop. SARS is not we've not specialized in the Nigeria police. Every policeman wearing uniform has an element of SARS in him, just like every policeman has an element of what the members of the public call MOPO. They are supposed to go there, work for a period of time, and demobbed to another section. But because we've not been keeping to the extant rules and regulations, you now have situations where some officers have perpetuated themselves in that unit.
Okay.
And we're also talking of a country where violence is the order of the day, starting from the leadership. So where you have violence permeates the society, and you are talking of a reformation of the police without also getting the people to be reformed, you will not get any result. There are, in those days, when crimes were just about stealing bicycles. But you have situations now where the people that will come and attack you are well prepared. The sophistication applied to the commission of crimes now sometimes demand that you should have a such specialized unit. The violence permeating the society such that even when you go for arrest, you would see these young people attack the law enforcement officers. And when you have such a thing, these fellows too somehow must defend themselves. So what I'm saying in effect is that it is both ways. If we are reorientating the police, we must also work on the value system of the nation.
All right.
So that both the society and the law enforcement institutions would be reformed together.
Okay.
So I hear you, sir, and thank you for taking us back to the genesis of how SARS was created. But from what you're saying, we shouldn't expect to see SARS on the road. That's on one side. And on another side is what many Nigerians have issues with is the profiling, is the fact that you see anybody with 2 phones and with a laptop or with a bag of money and you suspect the person, and the abuse of the uniform and the guns that they have into threatening people. Who can we hold accountable when that happens? Because currently you mentioned that it is the non-implementation of the excess laws. The laws are already there, but it's not implemented. In developed countries, the IG would resign if an innocent person was shot by a SARS member that should not be on the road. There will be some heads rolling, and that will give Nigerians comfort that, there's something has been done, there's confidence. So at this point, what can be done to restore the confidence of Nigerians in SARS, and should they even be on the road since they are supposed to be like a high-ranking special investigative team?
That already exists in the Nigeria Police Force. That is why you have the HEC squad and the different monitoring teams. And that is why we are calling for a strengthening of the internal oversight mechanism. You are saying that, for every situation where you have cases like that, the Inspector General of Police should resign. Let me tell you, I'm not just in defense of the Nigeria Police Force. The Nigeria Police Force, the officers and men carry the burden of the society. That is an institution that has no voice. And that is why we're saying that when you have such cases, do an auditing process. What has led to it? It is unacceptable for people to use extra legal means to conduct their duties. Even when you talk of policemen or law enforcement officers being on the road, it is not to go and form road blockages. It is to have observation points, to have pin down points. And when you have that, once there is a good communication network, it is only when they are called to say, there is an highway robber or something has happened, a car is being used, that they go onto that road, do a blockage. Immediately after the operation, they withdraw back to their observation point. But you have a situation where everybody just put the burden on the police. You create such units, you create a police without the wherewithal to perform the responsibilities. If you take everyone on the road, it's not just about SARS now. If you are saying take SARS off the road, you are saying take the policemen off the road. I must also tell you, being an insider, some of the guys you see on the road that they call SARS are not even SARS. These are creations of some divisional police officers, some other institutions that are not even police. You see a situation now that every security institution that is created have turned to using T-shirts. And what they write there, it is either they will write Mopo or they will write Gallant. But because the police is the Coca-Cola of this country, you want to buy a Sprite, you want to buy a Pepsi, you will say Coca-Cola. So it is easy for everyone to say, oh, it's the police, to say it is the SARS. And because that institution has no voice,
Okay, let me
it
go on.
is high time that they give the institution a voice as well.
Okay.
Because when you create special tactical teams like that, there must be tools for them to perform their responsibilities.
We'll come to that
So
after this break, sir. Let me go on a quick break.
So
We'll
the
continue.
police leadership must look inward.
All right, let's go on a quick break. We'll come back and continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we did contact Shega Links. Shega was, he was supposed to be here. He did assure us he'll be here, but for whatever reason, we've been trying to reach him. We can't get to him. But we still have with us the former Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Fatai Awusheni. You wanted to say something?
Yes. So you mentioned, sir, in your analogy that the police does not have enough tools to be able to perform their functions. And I am worried and asking myself, is that the reason for the extortion that they do on the road? And I know that over the years, the police have, complained that they are not paid properly. They talked about their remuneration. Shouldn't they have, presented their case to the federal government? Why does the innocent citizens have to suffer for this?
Can I go ahead?
Go ahead, sir.
You see, when people talk of extortion, and they make the police the subject, you have a society where corruption is endemic. The only reason that everyone talks about the police is that's like the commonest set of people you see on the road, because they deal with the members of the public at the low level. It is a fact that corruption is endemic in this country. Yeah. That is not a justification for police to go and extort on the road. Lack of tools is also not a justification. People must live up to a certain level of integrity, especially when you are in a law enforcement institution. So I'm not justifying that with any reason. Yeah. But we must move from that level where everyone sees the police as the main point when it comes to corruption. And people would think we are just making this defense. Which aspect, which institution in this country can you talk of that? Is it because some people sit down inside the office and extort money? It's because you see these fellows on the road. And that is why I say that when you have an institution that is being so gagged, a constable, a corporal, a sergeant cannot come out to say this is what he faces. We must have a situation where right from the leadership of the police, they must be able to speak truth to the political leadership, to the political authority.
Yes.
Okay.
Every society will get a police that it deserves. We must have a situation where the rank and files must be able to speak to the authority of the Inspector General of Police or the Commissioner of Police. You would be sorry for the police if you say they should set up a truth commission where everybody would be protected from actually saying what they go through.
Let me pause you for a second, sir,
every
because I have so
reform,
many
every
questions for you this morning.
recognization you want to do, when the measures that come out, they are laced with the political interest of whoever that is in power.
Okay.
So that is also not enough to justify corruption.
All right, let me take this call, sir. I have a call from Chijoke. Chijoke, are you there?
Hello?
Chijoke, go ahead, please. You're live.
Yeah, good morning. It has been long. I tried to get him on phone, but thank God I get him today.
Praise Jesus.
Because I'm always watching that program every blessed day. I know the trailer.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Concerning
Chijoke.
this tax issue, it's getting too much. If you, Moralo, if you went to the office to get that, if you enter those people's cells, see how their cell will be. See how they are suffering people. See how they got people like stockfish inside their cell. Whether you commit anything or you don't commit anything, they will tell you and go and pay 400,000. Can you imagine say, just because of say, somebody came to my shop when Nigeria was playing ball. I don't know that all those guys, they are top guys, as they're watching ball. Before you know, those guys left. On the road, they can't go hold them with God. They say they are cut boys. Can you imagine say, by the end of the day, I just was surprised. The guy just boy escaped, come to my shop again, come and pick me. I spent almost 200,000 naira for just for what I did not know. They suffered me just for shopping. That morning, I sold my property just to make sure I get out from that place because that's their sale is there, more than hellfire. And not only that, if you go to this Obragiri now, from Awara to Obragiri roundabout, you go see more than 10 different points police. They are collecting money from each bus. From here to here, 200 naira, from here to here, 100 naira, from here to here, 200 naira. Police are collecting money like they are selling paper on the road. All these things are supposed to stop. Because we are suffering this. Drivers, we are supposed to enter 200 naira. They will say at 300 because of how they are going to police. Please, not going to bank government.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sir, let me come to Mariam
he
on
asked
this.
a question.
What question did he ask?
He said that the police, court boys came to his shop, and because they came to the shop, they came to arrest him. The court boys had gone, and he spent over 200,000 naira trying to free himself from the situation.
So now, what are the rules? Sir, let me ask you this question. What are the rules of engagement when we see an operative from either SARS or police, either on the road, they come to your shop, they come to your house? What exactly, how do we engage them? And what are they supposed to do when they see us?
There are mechanisms to redress the kind of situation that the gentleman that just made that call. There are mechanisms to redress such situation. It is the duty of the police to open up and let everyone knows how to address situations like this. But when you are in this climb, let us say the truth. People may not accept where criminals are glorified, where the young people think the easiest way to be recognized is through crimes. When you don't have a situation, a country where people even know what their civic obligations are, you would have situations like this. I watched a BBC documentary where a fellow who, thank God he was given amnesty, said that, look, I knew I committed murder. I joined people in killing 2 persons, but I don't see any reason why I should be sent to jail. It's because the police is bad. They said we robbed. We did not rob, but we killed. That's the kind of country you have.
Wow.
That is why I say in every society, there must be a balance. The police must live above board. The leadership must strengthen the internal oversight mechanism. The external oversight mechanism that we have are more or less politicized. You have a police service commission that should handle disciplinary matters of the Nigeria police force. That commission is a product of a minority commission of 1957. And it was put there that when you want to put members there, they should be political, should not belong to any political parties or whatever. They shouldn't have any affiliation. But in practice now, what you have is different. So even when cases are taken there, you can see some influence of people in order to truncate justice.
Okay.
Nigeria needs to sit down.
Right.
Give
Right.
the police itself a voice. That institution has no voice.
Okay.
And that is not a justification for what we are doing. You must, feel, get their feelings. Okay, what do we have to do this work?
All right, we have to, unfortunately...
Those ones that have been involved
Sir.
in extra-legal means
Right.
corruption.
Right.
The leadership of the police must also take it seriously, that the internal oversight system work, and they should also publish the punishment. They should make it public. Nothing should
Okay,
be
all right. Let's go on a break. We've been speaking with the former Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Fatai Owusheni, and been helping us understand the perspective of the police. When we go on a break now, we'll come back, we'll speak with Shegalink. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we have with us human rights activist Segun Awosanya, aka Shegalink. Good morning, Segun. Thanks for joining us. So obviously we've been speaking with the police earlier, and he's tried to make us understand the various perspectives from the police point of view. But from your own end, of course, you've been at the front runner of this pushing for end SARS. And the question to you, sir, is, must we end SARS, or are we demanding a reform? Because that's the question everybody wants to know. Do we all stand behind the end it completely, and why?
Thank you very much for having me in your program again, and thank you also for the question that you posed. I want to believe that there is nobody that I know, that you know, that chose to remain in primary school because they love the headmistress. And it is peaceful there. You have graduated, you have finished, your colleagues are going forward all over the world in the community, within the Community of Nations, and you chose to stay in your primary school because your uniform still fits and because the headmistress love you. And that's exactly what is happening. We are promised reforms in 2015. We promised reform in 2017. Yeah. We promised reform in 2018. We promised reform in 2019. We are promising reform again in 2020. And all we have been doing is down the chairs, while innocent citizens die needlessly from the hands of rogue and thugs and people who are not even who are not even qualified to be reinforced as state forces. What we're saying again is this. Let me illustrate for those who probably will not get the idea. It is not a problem about a handful of bad eggs. If that is the case, you will see that there's really no point for this synchrony, because I will kill you and nothing will happen, is a term used by people who did not, there was no meeting, there was no agreement, there was no conference where they had, where they agreed that, oh, this is what we'll be saying. It came in naturally, it is endemic, it is something that they've seen as their right to do. The only thing they can hold on to. The police is now an organized crime syndicate where they can be the law, jury, judge, and executioner. Wow. Now, the SARS itself, the SARS itself, that is the tactical one. Every time you hear the word SARS, please don't let them bully you into the angle of we're dealing with only one unit. We're dealing with all tactical units because they're all the same. We have a file of cases. We have been following up, and it's not, the NSAS campaigns is not a campaign, as some people would like to see it. IGP Idris, if they campaign for consultancy, he will tell them what they encounter when we had sat down around tables. It is a deep research that looked into the operations of the police for years. I don't see any reason why an 8-year-old ad hoc program will be taken as paramount, as law over the 90-year history of the Nigerian police. In other words, they are telling us now that SARS is so sensitive and so critical to the Nigerian police that the entire police can be disbanded in as much as they can keep SARS. So why are we not thinking within the 21st century to understand that, especially now that we have reasoned with the police? The police are victims in the system themselves. They are victims of the system themselves. Most of them don't have good housing. Yeah. Their salaries are not predictable. There are people within the same rank who are not earning the same salary, and they cannot complain, they cannot fight, they cannot riot, because it will be mutiny. So nobody's fighting for them. And the only way we can fight for them so that they can serve us is by ensuring that we not only put a stopgap in place, which was what we did in 2017, you know, and around that 2017, we put a stopgap, don't wear uniform, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. It wasn't much of a reform. It was a protocol we put in place while we negotiate with the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary to find a lasting solution to this menace. And what did we do as at that time? The judiciary gave us the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015, domesticated all over Nigeria, so that at least with that provision, police will not be holding people in place of another. Police will not be arresting people and holding them forever without, you know, charging them to court. Police will not be proliferating their cells with innocent people that they want to extort, and so many other things. So that one we're still engaging. We have the 2017 Anti-Torture Act, which has not actually brought one single person to book, despite the fact that there's torture per minute across Nigeria. Yeah. We have the criminal justice, we have the right proceedings, which could have actually been a way where people can easily go and say, look, this is what police did to me. They slapped me, this and that and that. We'll bring them to book. But it has never happened. Any case you file at the Human Rights Commission stays in the Human Rights Commission. We don't get any feedback at the end of the day. So we also have the VAPA Act, which is only in Abuja and maybe one or two states now. You know, that's the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015, which necessarily should have been bringing people to book for violence against persons, because violence is not actually part of the protocol of the police. But finally, we now have the Police Act, you know, of 2020, which did three things fundamentally. Number one, reposition the police for accountability and transparency, to operate in accountability and transparency. In other words, there's nothing, what is used to be shrouded in secrecy is no longer shrouded in secrecy in terms of budget, in terms of who took what contract, in that we can actually bring them to book and ask them questions. Secondly, the most uphold fundamental human rights of that has been a part to. And thirdly, for them to be able to collaborate with organizations like CSOs, the community and all, in order to win the trust of the people. Because it has been known and accepted that police can police the nation without engagement of the people and without coalition with necessary organizations who already have won trust, who can help them. Now, I can tell you what we have been doing for the past 5 years or 4 years plus now. Nobody will call the police after a policeman has robbed them, if not for our organization, who is actually standing as a bridge between the police and the people. And we decided not to create a separate entity entirely, unless we blacklist the police. And so until today, argument shouldn't even arise when we're telling you, we have listened to what you have been saying before. And our prognosis remain true, that you cannot reform cancer. If you discover a cancerous node somewhere, whether it's on the breast or anywhere, it must go, no matter how pretty the breast is, no matter how succulent it is. You must cut it off.
Shagun, I hear you. Shagun, I hear you very clearly, but because everything you said for me is more like a Nigerian problem, not just the police. This is something that is across board. All the police. So if we going back to, yes, the police needs a reform, no doubt. We need them to totally end and remove the cancer, right? That's what we're saying. But even if you remove the SARS unit, you collapse that unit, does it fix the entire police problem? There's a huge problem of corruption. It doesn't.
Let me explain something. No, let me explain. It does. Let me explain. We are, like I said, we are dealing with a research, not just a suggestion on social media. We said end SARS reform police NG. One is an objective, the other is an end goal. To achieve the end goal, the entire police system needs restructuring. Members of SARS are members of society and also members of the police system. They will be subject to psychological evaluations. If they are subject to psychological evaluation and they are also retrained based on the new protocol that have been put in place, as well as the new bill and the new law that have been signed for police, any one of them that did well can now be put into a special unit according to their training in terms of engaging violent crimes, and then they will be called on only when there is distress calls. Not that they will around the street roaming about seeking whom to devour, as they are doing today. Lack of supervision, lack of leadership. See, there's no such thing as bad and good, really, in any organization, especially institution. The idea behind the institution is anything that goes into the institution is indoctrinated with the policy or the purpose of that institution. In other words, when somebody who is an ordinary Joe goes into the police system, it becomes an instrument of state. It doesn't become a god unto himself. It becomes a tool, like a weapon that upholds law and order. How do you now place people who are operating against the law and order of the state? How do you retain those? How do you give an excuse to a man who is on drugs 24 hours, whose idea is to kill and rob and kidnap? So it is not about, so when you take them out and they know that this system or this cocoon or this unit that are, or this silo that are giving them room or platform to do what they've been doing all the while is no longer there. Now they are trying to put them in this. Every individual is a contradiction, depending on the influence. You are either good or you are either bad, depending on the kind of influence that you have. Now, if the leadership, for example, I am not wearing uniform, I don't have a gun. Why would a police officer hear my name and do the right thing? Because there is respect, because there is an identification of that integrity, and because they know that this guy actually meant well for us. So with that, if they have leadership or leaders who respect them enough to fight for them and to care about them, they will listen and they will do right. So the training and supervision is missing.
All right, unfortunately, we totally ran out of time, Shegun. We really wanted you to be to speak to you much earlier on the show, but unfortunately, we couldn't reach you earlier. But thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Human rights activist Shegun Awosanya, aka Shega Links. Let's take a few tweets before we run off. Anybody? No. Okay, that's all we can take on the show. Honestly, this end hashtag end SARS can't stop from this show. Obviously, we're going to have to keep talking about it and see where it ends up. But Nigerian youth should please stay safe, because many of them are protesting. I know a few celebrities have agreed to go out on the streets to support these cause. Please, the police should not shoot them. Ensure, please stay safe.
We need to beg.
Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye.